Don't throw like a girl. Man up. Stop crying like a girl. All of these phrases are phrases I'm sure everyone in this room has heard. Every day, these phrases are used to motivate young boys and girls. But what people don't realize is that they're highly gender biased. Gender bias and inequality are very prevalent in today's society, and they continue to have an impact on the world. And although we've come a long way, inequality and bias will only cease to exist if the world understands the history, the effect it has on society, and how anybody can stop it. So, what is gender bias? Is it hating one gender? Is it thinking one gender is inferior to another? Gender bias is a difference in the way men and women are treated. So, this is when a man gets certain privileges over a woman solely because he's a man. It's important to keep this in mind when learning about the history of inequality. For as long as anyone can remember, women have always been regarded as less than men, not fully human. Now this stems from women's ability to bear children. And even though we've come a long way, in many countries, women are still regarded as unequal to men. For example, it was not until the 19th Amendment in 1920 that American women got the right to vote. That means since 1776, since the start of the United States of America, women had no right on political matter. It took 144 years for women to find even a little sliver of equality with men. Still, it's worse in other countries. Starting last year in Saudi Arabia, women are now able to vote and run for office. Last year. This inequality and bias exists all over the world, and also in the workplace. Now, everybody knows that there's a gender wage gap, that a woman only makes 79% of what her man colleague makes. So to put this into perspective, this man makes $1, while this woman only makes 79 cents. How does that seem equal or fair? This inequality also exists outside of the workplace. In 2013, there were 6,000 bias-motivated events accounted for. There's a certain stress on accounted for, because there are probably so many more that weren't accounted for. Now, most states do have laws regarding hate crime against gender, but 5 states do not. That may not seem like a big deal, but truly it is. That means that in those 5 states, justice is not being brought forth, in instances where justice needs to be brought forth. So although we've come a long way, there still is 5 states that need those laws, that 21% wage gap, and the constant belief that women are equal to men. While this is a threat mainly to women, there are also forms of gender bias against men, or boys. While social media is spreading, stories spread very fast. A man posted a picture of his son in a princess costume. As soon as he posted this picture, it sparked outrage. Hundreds of people flooded the picture with comments on how he shouldn't dress his son that way, and it was unmanly. This stems from the stereotypical gender roles that have aided the society. This notion that men can't be anything but this notion that men can't show anything but manliness on the exterior is outdated and was the drive for these comments. What's the year again? Oh yeah, 2016. It's an old-fashioned criteria that men have to be nothing but manly and dress as nothing but their gender, along with women. People don't realize that the world is changing, and they need to realize that. The reason that inequality is so prevalent in today's society is because people don't know how to handle it. Contrary to popular belief, if you ignore this problem, it won't go away. But there are many organizations that are striving to end this inequality, such as the AAUW, with its heavy emphasis on involving young women in STEM, showing them how powerful they are. These organizations are so important because they reassure young girls that they can do anything, no matter what anyone says, which is what young girls need growing up. It's what I needed growing up. If we didn't have these organizations, we would not have many of the amazing women that exist in today's society. Women that shut down stereotypes, that get rid of inequality. Women who aren't afraid. They aren't afraid of change because they know it can and will happen. Inequality and bias will only cease to exist if we actually acknowledge that it's a problem and try to do something about it. While inequality and gender bias are a big problem in today's society, the only way they will cease to exist is if people understand the history of gender bias, if people understand the effect it's had on today's society, on our children growing up, and how organizations are trying to stop it. Having been here for so long, the world doesn't know a place without inequality, which also means it's hard to get rid of it. But it can happen. So think of those little girls who are told that they shouldn't be scientists because of their gender, or the little boy who thinks he's not competent because he's not manly enough. Show the world that change is possible. Thank you.